In the vast theatre of global history, there are moments that change everything. Stories of small kingdoms caught in the brutal dance of empires, where a single decision can alter the fate of generations. Today, we unfold the gripping tale of Georgia, a proud ancient kingdom standing at the crossroads of survival and surrender. Picture a small kingdom nestled in the rugged Caucasus mountains, surrounded by ravenous empires hungry for territory. Imagine a king facing an impossible choice: submit to certain destruction or gamble on a dangerous alliance. This is the heart-stopping story of the Treaty of Georgievsk, a pact that would seal Georgia's destiny in the late 18th century. Let me take you back to a time of ruthless ambition and fragile survival. The year is 1783. The Persian Empire looms like a predator, ready to devour the weakened Georgian kingdom. King Erekli II of Kartli-Kakheti knows his realm is on the brink of extinction. His options are brutally simple: bow to Persian dominance or seek a powerful protector. Enter the Russian Empire, a rising colossus looking to expand its influence. Empress Catherine the Great sees an opportunity that seems too perfect to resist. The Georgian king sees a potential savior. On a summer day in July, they sign a treaty that promises protection, but whispers of a much darker future. Here's a shocking twist that will make history buffs lean in. This treaty wasn't just a diplomatic document. It was a ticking time bomb that would fundamentally reshape an entire nation's destiny. King Erekli believed he was securing his kingdom's survival. But was he actually signing away his people's freedom? Lean in close, because this is a story of betrayal, survival, and the brutal chess game of imperial politics. A tale where a single piece of parchment could determine the fate of an entire civilization. A story that proves truth is often far more dramatic than fiction. If you love untold historical dramas, if you're fascinated by the hidden mechanisms of power, then buckle up. The Treaty of Georgievsk is about to blow your mind. Hit that subscribe button, and let's dive deep into one of history's most dramatic, untold stories. Are you ready to uncover a tale of survival, betrayal, and imperial ambition that will change how you see historical diplomacy forever? Then let's begin. All right, let's dive into the dramatic world of 18th century Georgia, a kingdom teetering on the edge of survival. Imagine a land caught in a geographical nightmare. The 18th century was a brutal time for the Kingdom of Georgia, a proud but fragmented realm squeezed between two of the most powerful empires in the world, the Persian Empire and the Ottoman Empire. These giants were like hungry predators, constantly circling a wounded prey. At the heart of this precarious kingdom stood King Erekli II, a ruler from the legendary Bagrationi dynasty. Leading the region of Kartli-Kakheti, he was more than just a monarch. He was a desperate survivor, trying to protect his people from total annihilation. Picture a king who knew every single day could be his kingdom's last. Here's a mind-blowing historical reality check. Georgia wasn't just a small kingdom. It was a fractured landscape of competing regions, internal struggles, and constant external threats. Erekli II understood something terrifying. Without powerful allies, his entire civilization could be wiped off the map in the blink of an eye. And now, for a jaw-dropping curiosity that will send chills down your spine. Despite signing a treaty of protection, Russia didn't actually militarily intervene in Georgia until 1801, a full 18 years after the Treaty of Georgievsk. And when they finally did intervene, it was to completely annex the kingdom after King Erekli's death, erasing Georgian independence for more than 100 years. Can you imagine making a deal for protection, only to discover decades later that your supposed protector was actually planning your conquest? This is the brutal chess game of 18th century geopolitics, where small kingdoms were nothing more than pawns in a much larger imperial strategy. Erekli II's strategy was simple but dangerous. With Persian invasions constantly threatening, and the Ottoman Empire breathing down his neck, he did the only thing he could. He looked north. The rising Russian Empire seemed like his last hope, a potential shield against total destruction. But hope can be a treacherous thing. Sometimes the cure is far worse than the disease. And in Georgia's case, their desperate attempt at survival would come with a price tag far higher than anyone could have imagined. Stay tuned, because the story of how a proud kingdom fought for its survival is about to get even more intense. Let me tell you about a king who played the most dangerous game of survival in history, King Erekli II, a ruler walking a tightrope between imperial destruction and potential salvation. Imagine being a monarch with enemies circling your kingdom like hungry wolves. On one side, the Persian Empire, a massive power that had dominated most of Georgia for centuries. On the other side, the rising Russian Empire, led by the ambitious Empress Catherine the Great. And caught in the middle, one brilliant, desperate king named Erekli. Erekli II wasn't just any ordinary monarch. He was a strategic genius playing a high-stakes game of political survival. Think of him as a chess master, but with his entire kingdom as the game board and his people's lives as the pieces. Every move could mean total destruction or potential salvation. The Persian Empire had been crushing Georgian independence for generations. Their military might had been a constant shadow over the kingdom, threatening to swallow Georgia whole. But Erekli was not a king who would go down without a fight. He understood that sometimes, to escape one predator, you might need to make a dangerous alliance with another. Enter Catherine the Great, one of history's most cunning rulers. She wasn't interested in Georgia out of pure kindness. No, she saw something far more valuable, a strategic foothold in the Caucasus region. The Treaty of Georgievsk wasn't a friendship pact. It was a calculated imperial chess move. Here's the tragic irony that will blow your mind. Erekli thought he was protecting his kingdom. He believed the Russian promise of military protection would save his people from Persian invasions. But Catherine had a completely different plan. She wasn't offering protection. She was laying the groundwork for complete conquest. Imagine the psychological pressure on Erekli. Every decision could mean the life or death of his entire civilization. Would he submit to Persian domination, gamble on Russian protection, or try to find another way? The weight of an entire kingdom rested on his shoulders. The Treaty of Georgievsk was more than just a document. It was a desperate last throw of the dice by a king who knew his options were running out. Erekli was making a bet with history, and he had no idea how high the stakes truly were. Little did he know that this treaty would not just change his kingdom's future, it would completely rewrite Georgia's destiny for generations to come. A single piece of parchment would transform an entire nation's fate. Buckle up for the most shocking betrayal in 18th century diplomatic history, the moment when a promise of protection became the ultimate con. The Treaty of Georgievsk wasn't just a piece of paper. It was a lifeline that King Erekli II believed would save his kingdom. On the surface, the deal seemed almost too good to be true. Russia promised to guarantee Georgia's territorial integrity and provide military support against any invaders. In exchange, Georgia would surrender its foreign policy independence and become a Russian protectorate. But here's the gut-punching twist that will make your jaw drop. When the Persian Empire launched a massive invasion in 1795, Russia did absolutely nothing. Zero, zilch. That's right, the so-called protector stood by and watched while Georgia burned. Imagine the betrayal. King Erekli II had essentially handed over his kingdom's sovereignty, believing he was securing a powerful ally. Instead, he got a backstabbing partner who abandoned him at the most critical moment. The Persians swept through Georgian territories, destroying cities, pillaging villages, and leaving destruction in their wake. And Russia? Completely silent. This wasn't just a diplomatic failure. This was a calculated move of imperial manipulation. Russia had gotten exactly what it wanted, a foothold in the Caucasus, without actually having to lift a finger to protect its new protectorate. Let's break down this mind-blowing betrayal. The treaty promised military protection. The Persians invaded, and Russia's response? A deafening silence that would echo through centuries of Georgian history. Now, I want you to pause and think. Would you have made this deal? Would you trust an empire promising protection, knowing they might just watch you burn? Speaking of burning questions, here's a challenge for you, history lovers. We want to hear your take. Do you think Georgia made the right choice in allying with Russia? Was this a brilliant survival strategy or the most tragic mistake in Georgian history? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're loving these deep dives into historical conspiracies, do 3 things right now. Hit that like button, share this video with a friend who loves historical mysteries, subscribe to Modern Age Chronicles to never miss these incredible stories. Because trust me, the story of the Treaty of Georgievsk is about to get even more mind-blowing. The ultimate betrayal is coming up next, and you won't believe how this tale unfolds. Get ready for the ultimate historical betrayal, a story of how a promise of protection turned into a nightmare of total conquest. When King Kartli II died, he had no idea he was leaving behind a ticking time bomb of imperial ambition. The Russian Empire had been waiting, watching, calculating its moment, and now the trap was about to snap shut. In 1801, just 18 years after the Treaty of Georgievsk, Russia made its most audacious move. What had begun as a treaty of protection revealed its true nature, a carefully planned strategy of complete domination. The Russians didn't just want an ally, they wanted total control. Imagine a kingdom that had fought for centuries to maintain its independence, suddenly erased from the map. The proud Bagrationi dynasty, which had ruled Georgia for generations, was swept aside like dust. In one brutal moment, Georgia ceased to exist as an independent nation and became just another piece of the massive Russian Empire. This wasn't just a political takeover, this was a complete transformation of an entire civilization. For 117 years, that's nearly 12 decades, Georgia would lose everything. Its language, its culture, its very identity would be under constant threat of being crushed by Russian imperial power. The Treaty of Georgievsk, once seen as a lifeline, now revealed itself as the ultimate betrayal. King Kartli II had gambled everything on Russian protection, and the price was total destruction of Georgian sovereignty. What started as a desperate attempt to save a kingdom had become its ultimate undoing. Think about that for a moment. One treaty, one piece of paper, and an entire nation's destiny was rewritten forever. The Russian Empire didn't just conquer Georgia, they dismantled its very soul. They replaced Georgian leadership, restricted their cultural practices, and essentially tried to erase Georgian identity from the face of the earth. This is why historians often say that sometimes the cure can be far worse than the disease. The protection Georgia sought became a form of slow, systematic destruction that would last for more than a century. Can you imagine losing your entire national identity, watching your kingdom, your culture, your very way of life being slowly crushed under the boot of an imperial power? This is the true story of the Treaty of Georgievsk, a tale of survival, betrayal, and the brutal realities of imperial ambition. And trust me, this story is far from over, because the spirit of Georgia would not be so easily defeated. Let me take you on a journey through the most painful chapter of Georgian history, a story of survival, betrayal, and the unbreakable spirit of a nation. The Treaty of Georgievsk isn't just a dusty historical document, it's a raw, bleeding wound in the heart of Georgian national memory. Today, it stands as a powerful symbol of both tragedy and resilience, a stark reminder of the brutal choices faced by small nations trapped between giant empires. For modern Georgians, this treaty represents something far more profound than a simple diplomatic agreement. It's a cautionary tale whispered from generation to generation, a warning about the dangers of trusting foreign powers and the true cost of survival. Imagine a nation carrying the weight of 117 years of lost independence. Every Georgian child grows up understanding that this single piece of paper changed everything. It represents the moment when their ancestors made an impossible choice: surrender or die. But here's the incredible twist. Instead of breaking the Georgian spirit, this historical betrayal actually forged it into something unbreakable. The Treaty of Georgievsk became a rallying cry, a symbol of resistance that would echo through centuries. It transformed from a moment of defeat into a powerful narrative of survival and hope. Modern historians view this treaty as a critical turning point. It wasn't just about one kingdom's fall. It was about the brutal reality of international politics. How do you survive when you're a small nation surrounded by hungry empires, when your very existence depends on making impossible choices? For many Georgians, the treaty represents the ultimate lesson in political survival. It's a reminder that sovereignty is never guaranteed, that freedom must be fought for in every generation. The bitter irony is that the very treaty meant to protect Georgia became the instrument of its destruction. But here's the most inspiring part. Georgia never truly died. Despite a century of Russian imperial control, the Georgian language, culture, and identity survived. They kept their spirit alive through stories, through resistance, through an unbreakable national pride that no empire could crush. The Treaty of Georgievsk teaches us something powerful about human resilience. It shows that a nation is more than its borders. It's about the stories we tell, the memories we preserve, the hope we carry forward. Today, every Georgian looks at this treaty and sees not just a moment of defeat, but a testament to their nation's incredible strength. They survived, they resisted, and ultimately they reclaimed their independence. As we reach the end of this incredible journey through one of history's most dramatic betrayals, let me leave you with a powerful question that will haunt you long after this video ends. The Treaty of Georgievsk isn't just a historical footnote. It's a raw, powerful testament to the impossible choices nations must make when survival hangs in the balance. King Erekle II stood at a crossroads of history, facing a decision that would echo through generations. Was he a visionary who tried to save his kingdom, or was he a naive ruler who signed away his people's future? The line between survival and surrender is razor thin, and history rarely offers simple answers. Imagine being a king knowing that every single decision could mean the life or death of your entire civilization. Would you have made a different choice? Could you have resisted the temptation of promised protection, knowing the brutal alternatives? This story is more than just a historical account. It's a profound lesson about power, survival, and the brutal chess game of international politics. It reminds us that in the world of empires, small kingdoms are always just one treaty away from total destruction or salvation. The Treaty of Georgievsk teaches us that history is never black and white. It's a complex tapestry of human choices, desperate hopes, and unintended consequences. One moment can change everything, and sometimes the price of survival is far higher than anyone could have imagined. And now, I have a challenge for you, history lovers. If you've been blown away by this incredible story, if you've felt the drama and tension of Georgia's struggle, then do 3 things right now. First, smash that like button. Show some love for these incredible historical stories. Second, share this video with your friends. Spread the knowledge. Let people understand the incredible stories that shaped our world. And third, and most importantly, subscribe to Modern Age Chronicles. We dive deep into the most incredible, heart-stopping historical narratives that mainstream history books never tell you about. Who knows what incredible story we'll uncover next? A tale of betrayal, a moment of unexpected heroism, an empire rising or falling. Hit subscribe and you'll be the first to find out. This is Modern Age Chronicles, bringing history's most incredible stories to life. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and never stop learning.